real good.
Prima Pediatrics Healthcare Hour on AM 1220 KHTS. We're going to wrap things up talking habits and how parents are role models, and they need to remember that. We talked about some eating habits. We also talked a little bit about criticizing yourself, but I want to talk a little bit more about this. It says kids who we were talking about too much texting, emailing, and talking on the phone. And it says here, kids who spend too much time in front of screens have problems with sleepiness, school performance, and they have weight issues.
Yes, they do. Because in front of any screen, TVs and computer screens, they both induce, because they change your brain waves, and it induces a partial state of transcendental meditation, which basically lowers your metabolic rate.
Whoa.
So you're not moving, you're in front of a screen instead of moving, and you're lowering your metabolic rate, but you're eating the same. Oops. Problem.
Gotcha. All right, another thing that it mentions is making everything a competition.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So this is the final one we'll talk about for the Prima Pediatrics Healthcare. So how is this a bad habit?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, making some things a competition for the child with themselves is not bad. But making everything a competition with others is very bad. Because kids should learn to enjoy activities for the sake of enjoying the activity. If you make it a competition, number one, so-and-so's kid can do better than that. I know you can do better than so-and-so's kid. Then one of three things is going to happen. A, maybe your kid will do better than so-and-so's kid, but then they'll be so hard on themselves that they won't let up, and then they'll overdo. B, they'll hate doing what you want them to do because they don't really want to do it anyhow, and now they're having to do it. They hate that. And three, they may just become terribly depressed because they can't do what the other kid is doing. So not everything should be a competition. Some things should just be enjoyed for fun. In fact, most things should be enjoyed for fun. The only competition that any child should be encouraged to have without their wanting to do it is competition with themselves. Can you do better than you did the last time? That's not a bad thing. But on the other hand, don't ever tell them that if they can't do better, that they're bad, because then they won't even try.
Gotcha.
And a lot of parents make everything a competition. This past week, I had a parent who didn't want to give his kid a certain medication to treat a true medical problem because it might decrease his performance in track, and he wanted to wait till track season was over to start it. And hello? I don't
So he
think so.
didn't want to do it because it would slow him down, but his health could his health get worse if he...
It could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could.
Okay.
It could.
Yeah.
This is a condition that has a potentially problematic thing. Now, it hasn't so far.
Yeah.
And it may be reasonable to, so we came to a compromise whereby he will give him the medication during the time period that he's off of school and not in track. And then and if it's working, then we'll see how things are going, and then he'll wait until after track to complete the medication. But I just think of that as being bizarre.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
And that's the nth degree, or the kids who refuse, the kids themselves. I see this a lot of times. They broke their ankle, but they want to get back in because, and I have to try to convince them, listen, if you go back too soon, you are absolutely going to be out for the entire season.
Yeah.
So you want to take that extra week so you can heal properly, or you want to go back too soon and then be out for the rest of the season? Well, how do we know that's going to happen? I know. That's why I went to school to learn this stuff,
All right, so we talked about some bad habits, but also we did put a lot of emphasis on bad habits. But you can be a positive role model for your kids too by, learning. We talked about criticizing yourself, but learning from your mistakes.
That's right.
And recognize that you are making a mistake and stuff like that.
Everybody's going to make mistakes, okay? My favorite story about that is from my grandmother. My grandmother used to say, well, if I go up to the Lord and I get to St. Peter's Gate and my kids turned out terrible, And he'll say to me, Mary, your kids turned out just terrible. She'll say, I'm so sorry, Lord, I did the best I could. She says, and if they turned out great, then I get to St. Peter's Gate, and he says, Mary, your kids are fabulous. You did such a great job. Thank you, Lord, I did the best I could.
All right. So, but you can be a positive role model, and it's not just a negative thing.
No, you can be a very positive role model, and I see it all the time. There are so many really good parents out there who are teaching their kids proper habits, not to get angry quickly, not to be nasty, to be polite, to be good citizens. All of this stuff is more important than almost anything else you can teach them.
Excellent. And be careful of your bad habits, too. Be careful, of course. Recognize that it is a bad habit and that your kids can pick up on it. And remember, it's generational. It can help generations of your family to be in
Absolutely
good habits,
can.
or it can hurt them and be bad habits.
That is true.
This is a fun show.
Yeah, it
was a
was.
fun show. The Prima Pediatrics Healthcare Hour on AM 1220 KHTS. That's once a month. It's supposed to be first Friday, but you had to cover somebody.
Yes.
But the first Friday of the month, usually on AM 1220 KHTS, the Prima Pediatrics Healthcare Hour. You can find more info at primapediatrics.net. 424-9000 is the phone number over there. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. We're looking forward to next month.
So good, I got you.